Field and Company.
You heard it, Silver Sevens. Great rewards for playing here with the A-Play card. 3 days a week they've got gift giveaways, and now they've added for July the Thursday Great Gas giveaway. $100 gift cards go out every 15 minutes between 6 and 10 tonight right after Cofield and Company. So come on down. Great spot here at Flamingo and Paradise. John Von Tobel is in as the company. Ari's back in the Findlay Toyota Studios. Jed is running the controls. He's the prize giver, sometimes security guard, right? We have a lot of people who love us. They come up and try to hug John Von Tobel. So Jed is all ready for that. Big Five time.
Battle-Born Injury Lawyers presents the Big Five at 5. Number 5.
You know, John's the kind of guy, he admits it. He's an ageist, and he's not even mild about it. Yesterday or a couple days ago on one of the shows, he was trying to loop me in with Jerry Jones as a kind of a horse's ass who doesn't know what he's saying a lot of times.
Yes.
Not very nice. He's 27 years older than I am, so I didn't appreciate that. But I do appreciate John's old school values because he's always backing the young people, the punks. I do like his old school values when it comes to parenting. This sounds like a vicious story to me, so I was surprised that you had a positive take.
About the chess kid?
Yes, the chess kid.
So a 7-year-old, I'm assuming he's a chess phenom because he's 7 and he knows how to play chess. Like that's just like that's my bar. If you know how to play chess at a very young age, you're probably pretty good at it. So out in, of course, Mother Russia during the Moscow Open, which again, parameters are this kid's got brilliant. He was playing chess against a robot. Okay. The child made the incorrect move, and as punishment, the robot reached over and broke his finger.
That's horrifying.
You're not shocked by that? That a robot? No, he didn't actually get punished.
I'm not surprised or shocked. The robots are little bastards, and they're not completely under control.
But you understand what I was alleging there? That the robot was programmed to break the child's finger when he made a mistake.
Do you really believe it was programmed?
No, it wasn't. With their safety parameters, you have to wait for the robot to finish the move, right? It's like this little claw thing that like goes like this and like reaches down real quick and like grabs the pieces. And the kid was just a little too quick on the trigger. And so he went to move the piece before the robot was done. The robot grabbed his little finger and snapped it. Now, would I love a world in which there was an actual chess robot that punished little children by breaking their fingers if they made the incorrect move? Like we're talking, right? We talked about the Raiders buying in and doing laps whenever they made a mistake. You think they'd make mistakes if every time there was a false start, Josh McDaniels came over with pliers and like ripped the fingernail out?
You learn,
right?
I mean, it's corporal punishment, but it's mean. It's over the top, but you learn. So the kid made the move too quickly. That's kind of awesome.
Can I also say this is an awesome quote from the story? Sergei Lazarev, the president of the Moscow Chess Federation, said the robot broke the child's finger. This is, of course, bad. Thanks, man.
I feel like the Russians have softened. What pansies,
right?
You remember Drago?
I know. I'm not going to remember any details, but I know who he is. Yes.
It was a lot more hardcore back then. A lot more hardcore back then.
I feel like this is just another Monday.
He killed a guy.
Is that
he killed Apollo?
Is that the guy who says if he dies, he dies?
And they were, yeah.
Okay.
And they're just like, yeah, the way it goes.
It's boxing, baby.
For the Russians, yes.
This is chess. Well, break your finger. I saw the Queen's Gambit. I know how it goes. Chess is a rough world, man.
Number 4.
Draymond Green wants an extension for the max. He wants $138 million. Sorry, I couldn't finish it. Look, I'm pro Draymond, all right? I find his value for the for the Golden State Warriors. And we should also make it known before he got injured this year was going to run away with Defensive Player of the Year. He has value as a player. Having said that, you're not going to find many, we'll call him 1.5-way players, right? Because he's not really contributing much on offense, but he's a very good defensive player. There's not many 1.5-way players who are garnering max money, especially on a team that's in a cap situation and just, financial situation like the Golden State Warriors are. They already have Klay Thompson, who's making north of $40 million each of the next 2 years. They have Steph Curry, who's making north of, I believe, $50 million, if I remember his contract correctly, as they move forward in this deal.
That's kind of wild. And now you have Draymond Green asking for max money. I don't think you'd get that anywhere else. I think he's in the right position to potentially push for it, if that's the case.
I think he's brilliant for pushing for it because,
Right.
as you mentioned earlier, he's got Steph on his side, so he might get it.
And that's why he might get it. Now, I will say this. I do, because we talked to Xavier Pope earlier. I do think Xavier is wrong in assuming that all he's getting is, I think he said, like the mid-level exception for a veteran or something.
Xavier was saying that he thought Draymond on the open market is really only worth $10 million a year.
I think he'd get a little bit more than that.
He'd get a lot more.
Yeah, he in today's NBA, especially, I mean, just to be fair, too, where guys are getting paid, the level is a lot higher than what that would be, right? So he would have a lot more value than that. And
I'll also throw in not to be too harsh, but the league is filled with idiots at times who run teams who will overpay someone.
Look at what the Knicks are considering.
Yes. I mean, the Knicks have done it for the last 30 years at different times. And I like Brunson, but what's he making? $27 million a year?
Something like that,
That seems a little high. And there could be a mid-level franchise. It's like, hey, this is the glue guy. But my problem, if Draymond went somewhere and actually got, say, $30 million a year and they weren't winning, I don't know that he's bought in.
Right.
I think this is a special situation where he can coexist, and he still flips out at times and still looks disinterested sometimes and certainly hurt a lot.
I mean, so
I'd be very careful on the open market about what I would pay Draymond Green. But I don't think he'll get 138, but I think he's going to cash in. And I will tell you at that point, Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, who just got fined by Adam Silver for whining about the luxury tax, bruh, can't whine anymore.
No.
You got a choice. Lower the luxury tax number and get closer to the threshold, or give Draymond wherever he wants, but you're going to pay.
And it's a fascinating scenario because Draymond is now effectively on a 1-and-1. Like he's working out, he's on the last 2 years of an extension, but there's a player option for that last year. Now, I'm going to assume that Draymond Green is going to, as we always see, opt into that contract, like that final year, because that's what we see all the time, guys at the tail end of their careers. And I think Draymond's much closer to the end of his career than he is to the beginning at this point right now. And he would be turning down, I just want to be sure I have this figure right, $27.5 million in that option year if he turns it down. He'll probably make a little less than that on the market, but we'll see. A max, that's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money for a guy who, like I said, I think is an incredible defensive player. And he runs your offense like maybe nobody else can probably do in the future years. But as much as I love that guy, he's not max money.
Number 3.
Are the Bucks the favorite to win the NFC?
NFC, yes.
Even over the Rams?
Yes.
What if I told you that one of their guards retired, another signed elsewhere, and their center may be out for the season?
Then I'm down to play against him, baby.
Ryan Jensen, this sucks.
It does.
He got a knee injury. All we're getting right now is it could be a serious knee injury. I mean, it could be 4 weeks for all we know. But if he goes down for the season, and it means the entire interior offensive line from last year has to be replaced.
Yep.
With a guy who, listen, he's brilliant. We all know the way to slow down Brady in any way is to get pressure, and especially pressure up the middle.
And think about it. I mean, this was arguably one of the best offensive lines in the league last year. And that's just how quick things can change in the NFL, where one guy leaves, a 28-year-old retires, and then your center gets hurt, and now you're looking around and going, wow, we have to patch together the interior of the offensive line going into the year. And that's one of our quarterback's biggest weaknesses. I already kind of thought coming into the season that not that the Bucs were bad, but that they were a little overvalued, especially when you talk about like the NFC South. I think they're like in some spots minus 360 to win that division when the Saints got quite a few things going for them, I think, when they go into this year. So I thought they were kind of already up there. But now, and again, this isn't to say that they're not going to still win 11, 12 games potentially. But when you're talking about winning on the margins and winning those playoff games, those high-caliber playoff games, situations like this, that's what make the difference. So while they still could have a very good record from a regular season standpoint, this injury could now be the difference between them and a Super Bowl this year.
Number 2.
Cardinals, Kyler Murray. First time he gets a chance to speak after the study clause in his contract. Cardinals in the contract said he's got to do 4 hours of independent study each week, or there could be financial penalties Before we tell you what he said, I wanted your reaction. Is this a leak, a mistake to have it out there, or do the Cardinals put it out on purpose?
That's what I want to know. I'm not fascinated by the clause itself. Like, I get all the implications of it and whatever it is, and I'm just more fascinated by who in the world put this out there. And this is what gets lost in it too, is it's the weird way that Ian Rappaport reported it as well, in which he phrased it as there's give and takes in contracts. Like, he tried to present it as a positive. He's like, and this is one of the examples. Who fed that to Ian Rappaport? And the reason why it makes the most logical sense that it was the Cardinals, because it doesn't make Kyler Murray look good in any way, shape, or form. When you have people who study these contracts and say, I have never seen this before in a contract, ever, for an NFL player, there is only one, unless there's just somebody in the Cardinals front office who acted brazenly because Kyler Murray didn't tip him or did something and just don't like him as a guy, and they leaked this to Ian Rappaport. The only person this is coming from is inside the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals leaked it. I have seen a lot of people say this is embarrassing for the Cardinals, not the leak, but the fact that they paid this guy all this money and had to put this in. But I think the Cardinals' plan was we're going to shame him so that we don't have to deal with this down the road, because this will be attached to him forever. People will break down film and go, he's missing stuff out there. He's not studying. Now people are going to jump to that conclusion. Now, Kyler Murray went in, and I still think Kyler Murray is immature, and he's got to grow up, and he's a very young guy. He goes in and says this, and I understand you want to fight back. You're insulted, right? That people are annihilating you and saying you don't work off the field. He says, to think I can accomplish everything in my career and not be a student of the game, it's disrespectful. It's almost a joke. Now people will latch on to think that I accomplished everything in my career. There's a lot of people out there who are like, what have you accomplished? Now, I think he's accomplished something.
Of course he is.
He's 5'4" and 190 pounds, and he is a top 10 quarterback. He can get better.
First round selection in multiple professional
He needs
leagues.
to get better. He's not 5'4", but you get my point. So he's accomplished something. There was some doubt about him, but there's a lot of people are going to look at it and say, you've accomplished what, a 496 winning percentage? What accomplishment is that?
Well, and I think when you look at it too, I mean, if you're really cutting into some of his words, there's a lot of people who accomplish things by doing the bare minimum. I think the rebuttal would be, if this is true, think about what you could be doing if you're actually applying yourself on a week-to-week basis and studying your opponents. Because the other pushback, which was really weird, was some of his teammates were like, he knows the playbook in and out. Yeah, that's not what this clause is saying. The clause is saying he needs to study his opponents. It's great that he memorizes the playbook. He doesn't do anything in terms of studying for the opponent of that week. That's the problem. But I